Good morning, everyone. We're going to ask you to kindly take your seats as we prepare to start the press conference. Correct. Good morning and welcome to Coolidge Cricket Ground here in beautiful Antigua, the headquarters of Cricket West Indies. I am Jamal Slocum, communications consultant here at Cricket West Indies. It's a pleasure to host the first quarterly press conference after the annual general meeting of Cricket West Indies held over the weekend. Well, today is going to be quite an exciting day. I'm sure many of you have heard some news already, but that is not my duty here this morning to reveal any information. First, I'm going to introduce all of the panelists here this morning. President Dr. Kishore Shallow, Chief Executive Officer Mr. Chris Deering, Director of Cricket Mr. Miles Bascom, and Head Coach Honorable Darren Sami. Also want to recognize the presence of our Vice President, Mr. Azim Basarath, also Director, Mr. Enoch Lewis, as well as Mr. Kumar Rodney, also a Director of Cricket West Indies and the President of Antigua and Barbuda Cricket Board. I also want to say good morning to all of the members of staff here at Cricket West Indies who've joined us, senior management, as well as the other members of staff, especially those in the cricket department. And I also thank those local journalists, media practitioners who've joined us here in Antigua for participating this morning. We thank you. For those online, a pleasant good morning to you, or in fact, wherever you are in the world, thank you for joining us. Certainly, we have an esteemed panel here this morning to share some information with you. We started these quarterly press conferences in an effort to ensure that the media has frequent interaction with you. Over the weeks, we've held many interactions with the head coaches as well as the captains of the West Indies Championships teams, but we've also included for the Super 50, which recently concluded in St. Kitts and Nevis. But certainly our quarterly press conferences are the highlight, and we look forward to sharing information with you. Well, without any further ado, I would like to introduce President Dr. Kishore Shallow.
Thank you, Jamal. Good morning, everyone. Everyone look normal on a Monday morning, how I expect you to look. Vice President, good morning. Happy you're here with us. Congratulations on your recent re-election. I know you're not one big on celebration. You just continue with the good work of West Indies cricket. So all the best. Directors, Enoch Lewis and Kumar Rodney, great to have you with us as well. Our CEO, Director of Cricket and Head Coach. Head Coach flew in from St. Lucia, missing golf this morning. So, you know, this is a very important press conference for him. So thanks, Darren. Of course, we are quite pleased to see the staff, and you're looking so beautiful this morning as always. Thanks for making the time to be here with us. And of course, the media. Welcome all. We, as we have committed in the past to these quarterly press conferences, and I want to commend Jamal, Ladonna, and the entire team who always meet these standards expected, and always great to interact with the stakeholders, especially the media. I anticipate quite a few questions this morning, and it should be, again, another exciting press conference as we have seen in the recent past. Let me start this morning responding to the revelation of the resignation of our test captain, Craig Brathwaite. Craig is a phenomenal individual, an exemplary captain, and an inspirational leader in every right. And I'm sure he won't mind if I share this with you. During the Pakistan tour, after the first match, Craig actually reached out to me as president, suggesting that he was going to announce his resignation pretty much on that tour. This was before the second match, second test. And so I told him it may not be the most opportune time to announce. And he explained to me the reasons why he wanted to move on from captaincy then. Explain it's a case where he enjoys the responsibility, but he believes he could give the team more if he just focused on his batting. And I managed to convince him not to announce his resignation at that particular point, but we'll discuss a better time, a more appropriate time for him and the organization, as well as the new head coach of the test team, to make that announcement. And he agreed, and he agreed to postpone the announcement. He then went on. Not only did he agree then, but you saw his performance in that final test match in Pakistan, bringing home a victory for West Indies. First time, I think, in 20-something years. I think Karal and Dr. Bam still enjoying that success because they were there in Pakistan. So I want to thank Craig profoundly for being the true leader that he really is, and for by no means, and he has said this to me, he is fully committed to playing for West Indies. And he told me he has a few more years in his tank, so I was quite happy to hear that. And I'm certain that being only 2 test matches shy of 100 tests, I suspect the selectors may give him that chance. I'm not twisting anybody's arms, you know, but I only imagine that he will play those 100 tests at some point, and whenever he does achieve that, Cricket West Indies will be right there celebrating with him. So thanks again, Craig Brathwaite, for your sterling leadership over the last few years. We had the annual general meeting of Cricket West Indies on the weekend, on Saturday to be precise. I would say that, of course, the media would be probably most excited by the news that we have the re-election successfully of the vice president and myself. Those were highlights of the AGM. Is testament to, I believe, a renewed vote of confidence in the leadership, and that the shareholders, by and large anyway, are fully supportive of the direction this organization is going, the trajectory that we are on. And I speak on behalf of Vice President Bazarat that we are grateful and fully committed to continue serving in these 2 capacities, with, of course, the support of our staff at the Secretariat and the other Board of Directors. We also had the reappointment of the independent directors, the 4 independent directors. Quite pleased that, quite pleased that the 3 very qualified, reputable ladies in Deborah Coyle Patton, Diane Campbell, and Louise Victor Frederick have all agreed to continue serving as independent directors. And it has been refreshing to get those female perspectives on the board. I'm sure that we'll probably see more coming to the territorial board at some point. And similar to my corporate secretary who's smiling, Alana, she remained quite optimistic about that. And we also had the reduction of a number of committees. One of the recommendations coming out of the Webby report was to continue to revise the structure of our board and committees and so on. And we are quite pleased that we have reduced the committee size composition by 4. One that we'll highlight is where we have now merged the finance committee and the commercial committee, because we have found it a little challenging. It's difficult to optimize the resources when you're discussing finance in isolation of commercial. And so we have merged that, and we have incorporated the officiating on venues committee on the cricket, which is being chaired by Director Enoch Lewis. So certainly more strides as it relates to governance, and we continue to identify those ways where we can improve the organization and strengthen our governance. We are in the process. I think any minute now we'll have our annual report and audited financial statements published on our website. A fantastic piece of document in the annual report that you'll see all of the key highlights and achievements over the last 12 months or so. I want to commend Mr. Linford Invery for his hard work with producing that document, leading with producing that document. Some of the key major highlights in the last year, obviously, the successful hosting of the World Cup. We have seen, I think, the economic impact assessment, where in the 6 countries in the Caribbean that hosted the World Cup, we generated just over $1 billion US. So by all measurements, a major success for the region. We also signed a historic partnership with Caribbean Cage, which estimates over $100 million US for a 10-year agreement. And we are again optimistic there that we are going to generate even more than that, and that would certainly present Cricket West Indies with the sort of financial freedom to invest and diversify our activities as an organization. We have improvements both on and off the field, but I'll leave Miles and Darren to speak more of the success on the field. But I must commend the men who have improved the rankings in T20 cricket. Fantastic achievement. Also, we had some individual brilliance. Currently, Akil Hussain, he sits at #1 as the T20 bowler in the world. We have had Puran as well, starring in the team or teams of the year. Rutherford, again, major success story in the last year, and some individual performances again from people like Jamel Warrick picking up 6-7 wickets in the test innings. From the ladies' side, Haley, it's almost like you just have to keep repeating yourself, but I think it's fair to say that every year she keeps getting better and better. A true leader as well. Excellent individual. And DeAndre Dutton, I mean, it's great to see her back. I'll just say that for now. It's fantastic to have her back. And the last thing I would say for now is this year we celebrate our 50th anniversary of the first World Cup success we had in 1975. We are in advanced planning stages. I would say probably just a few things to finalize for our CWI and West Indies Players Association award ceremony, with the 50th anniversary being a key feature, where we have all those legends. We have some 12 of them still alive. We are going to celebrate their success from 1975 at an event that will be hosted in Barbados just on the eve of the first test match against Australia. So that is another fantastic event for us to look forward to this year, along with all the home series that you'll hear our CEO speak about pretty soon. So thanks everyone. I'm sure later on there will be some questions and I'll be more than happy to answer. Thanks, Jamal.
Thank you, President Shallow, for opening the batting. And I now invite Mr. Chris Deering, the Chief Executive Officer of Cricket West Indies. It is his first press conference here with us in this iteration. By now you will know that this is his second innings at Cricket West Indies, but we're very glad to have him presented this morning. CEO, over to you.
Thank you very much, Jamal. Good morning, everybody. Vice President Basrat, Directors Enoch Lewis, Kumar Rodney, who are my very old and dear friends from way back when. So yes, this is my first press conference, having rejoined the board. And I first want to start by also adding my thanks to Captain Craig Brathwaite, who has led West Indies admirably through very, very tough times. And it's not easy. It's always easy to lead a team when you're winning. when you've had to struggle through losses and criticisms, etc., it really shows a test of character of somebody like Craig. And he has remained humble, he has remained steadfast, and he's been a true loyal servant of West Indies cricket. And I think we can all take an example from Craig. So it's been 60 days since I've rejoined West Indies cricket. It's almost hard to believe that it was almost 30 years ago when I first joined West Indies cricket. And I must say that it's been a very exciting time to rejoin West Indies cricket. It's the welcome that I received from not just my colleagues within West Indies, the staff itself, the board, President Shallow, Vice President Basrath, and all the directors has been just fantastic. This is not the West Indies board that I would have left so many years ago. And it's a testament to the work that has been put in by the board to put in place the kind of organization that most people in the Caribbean probably don't realize exists. A very professional staff, the team, a cadre of young, enthusiastic professionals that I once was. So hopefully I'll be able to add to that team. None more so than the COO, Linford Inverary, who acted in my stead. They've been absolutely welcoming. They've been very enthusiastic about the kind of plans. And in fact, it's been really encouraging when you have these one-on-one meetings with members of the team or even departmental meetings, and you say, well, what about this? And they're able to provide a plan that they've already started. These guys are sharp, they're very enthusiastic, and they love West Indies cricket. And I truly appreciate what West Indies cricket means to the region. So my role really is to ensure that these persons, these teams, and the board, and the territorial boards are given the fuel, the resources, and the energy to bring what is already a very comprehensive strategic plan to life. To ensure that whatever gaps there are, we are filling those gaps, and even those plans that are already in place to fill gaps, we have to make sure that they're retooled, the processes is strong, and that the West Indies cricket can be sustainable. That includes engaging with every stakeholder across the region, none more so than the fans. Of course, the territorial cricket boards, or governmental relationships, all have to be strengthened in this process. And as I said, there's a very comprehensive strategic plan with strong strategic pillars that I think everybody understands and knows. It's making sure we live and breathe the pillars of that strategic plan every day, and making sure every detailed plan that we produce fits in with the overall strategic plan, and that we add energy and enthusiasm and know-how to that process. The three big ticket areas that I intend to focus on in the retooling process are, first of all, making sure that our grassroots program, the bedrock, the raw material that is out there, is enhanced, is fueled, to make sure that we have sufficient youngsters coming into the production pipeline. The second area is to make sure that we retain and expand our regional role globally. And when I say regional, it's not just the West Indies. We're talking about cricket in the Americas, where we are ostensibly the big brother of the region as the only full member country of the ICC. And therefore, we have to reestablish our role as cricket has grown tremendously in the Americas, quite almost under the radar in many of the countries. Everybody knows how much it has grown in countries like the United States and Canada. But even in South America, Latin America, it has started to really grow. And we need to make sure that we take advantage of that opportunity and establish our leadership role in the Americas, and of course protect our own interests here in the West Indies. And thirdly is obviously the commercial side, to make sure we're generating the resources needed to fuel every plan that exists. There's always a lot of talk about governance and so on of West Indies cricket, and externally that has been a core focus. And one of the very first meetings I would have attended with West Indies, with Cricket West Indies board, had a lot to do with the governance, and we spent 2.5, 3 hours discussing the governance structure, the governance changes that were going to be made at the highest level. But there's been a lot of work done on the governance of the organization, and you can see that just from the organizational structure that resides within Cricket West Indies, which didn't exist before. And I made the point in that meeting that we would have spent 2.5 hours, 3 hours discussing governance from a global perspective, board level perspective. But everybody in that room and on the call, the Zoom call, etc., would have known that the core fundamental problem facing West Indies cricket is not governance. It doesn't mean that governance can't be improved, and of course it has to be a focus. But the reality is that we are up against it when it comes to the commercial divide, the commercial gap with our competing partners. So West Indies cricket doesn't operate in a vacuum. We operate in a wider cricket industry, which operates in a wider sporting industry, which operates in a wider leisure and entertainment industry. And we have to employ every idea, every product development, every thought process into exploiting that commercial world that's out there for the benefit of West Indies cricket, and we intend to do so. I've certainly charged every department to look on not just the expenses that they spend, but also how can it enhance the revenue generating opportunity for the benefit of West Indies cricket. To that point, one of the core underlying things that we're going to undertake is an entire digital transformation project. And digital transformation is not just a fancy buzzword. It really is a whole resetting of the mindset of an organization to make sure that we're much more data-driven in our decision making. But to be data-driven, you have to be able to generate the data, the kind of data that you need throughout the length and breadth of our organization. And that includes on the commercial side, understanding our fan base, getting the kind of data that we can use to hopefully exploit to increase sponsorships, increase commercial revenues based on the database that we have. And that, what is interesting is that database that we have already is fairly substantial. And it includes fans not just within the Caribbean, but around the world. But also, even in meetings I've had with the head coach, it's about understanding how data drives performance as an output. It's very easy for us to look on the output of West Indies cricket and critique it. But we need to understand the process and the data that's going into that process, the data that's available before you even understand the output. So my focus and my challenge to people like Darren is I want to see far more data employed, and he needs to challenge us to provide him with the kind of resources and systems that will allow him to generate and utilize the data. So, but there are immediate matters at hand. And of course, we have a test series. For the first time in 10 years, Australia will be touring. And tickets go on sale tomorrow, April 1st. It's not April Tom Fool Day. The last time we played Australia, in Australia, we pulled off what they consider an upset, but we certainly don't. And we intend to go one better this series. Coach Sammy and his team, a Freudian slip there, coach. And so the series coming up with 3 test series and 5 T20 matches against Australia. We're very excited to host, and the preparations are going very, very well. We're obviously starting at the Mecca, the home of cricket in the Caribbean, Barbados. And I say that with a smile because I know how everybody else in the Caribbean feels. But the Mecca has, for many, many years, been an important venue for West Indies cricket. And by starting the series there, we're hoping obviously to start with a win. And so we're calling on the Barbadian population to come out there and support the boys. We move on to Grenada following, and that was July 3rd to 7th in Grenada. They are undergoing refurbishment to the Grenada National Stadium, so we're looking forward to that. And of course, then we finish at Sabina Park in Jamaica, July 12th to 16th. I want to take this opportunity to announce that the intention is to hold the first day-night pink ball match, test match in Jamaica. That test match against Australia, that the Australians have agreed for it to be a day-night test match. It is of course subject to the new lighting system that's being implemented at Sabina Park, that it's finished in time, and of course to specification. We have in place a very strong monitoring and support system to help the Jamaica Cricket Association and the Jamaican government to achieve this. We are certainly looking forward to hosting the very first day-night match. And I can tell you, and I'm always cautious, my marketing team have come up with an entire theme, the Fuller Energy series. I don't quite know the accent I should use to pronounce Fuller Energy. If it's Jamaica, it's Fuller Energy. I won't try the Trini accent, Prez, no. But I'm sure it is far more rhythmic when the Trinidadians say it. But we're really excited about it. And I've also challenged the marketing team to come up with new and innovative ways to not just entertain the fans, to enhance the fans, the entertainment aspect of it, but to draw people in. Come and support us. Let's make it worth it. That fan experience has to be worth it when you've come to a game. Not least of which, of course, is how we perform on the field, but also how we experience the game off the field. Very excited about that. Finally, I'd like to speak about the issue of, the very serious issue of athlete safeguarding. We've heard of, obviously, the recent incident, which, to be frank, took place 5 years ago. And one of the things that I think I've been very pleased to see is like when that situation occurred in the media, and just to see the types of policies and plans that already had been put in place by the board, it was very gratifying to know that. So, it is a zero tolerance policy. It is not an issue that affects only Cricket West Indies. It's an issue that affects all Caribbean corporate institutions, and like any responsible corporate institution, CWI has implemented very, very stringent policies, guidelines, and of course, very practical plans and policies that help to alleviate such issues taking place. Things like the fact that we've moved the policy to ensure that women on tour get the same treatment as men on tour by virtue of single rooms. There are very strict policies around age groups and so on, so which were very gratifying. And of course, one of the issues with that particular instance that took place is that the player in question, and I really hope that that player or past player feels much more comfortable now, has recovered, and it hasn't impacted her too much in her life and her career. But one of the things that was clear to me is that there needs to be a process that allows people to feel confident to come to the board or an independent organization to be able to report such matters. And so I was also very happy to hear that the board had actually implemented an entire whistleblower policy. That policy has been making its way through the various committees. We have a very, very competent and experienced HR committee that has been working on it. That will then be populated with West Indies Players Association, who we have also engaged into to try and deal with any type of athlete safeguarding issue. And hopefully we'll have that whistleblower policy and process in place very, very soon so that people can feel confident to come to the board with these types of matters. We take it very seriously, and we're going to do our part as part of Caribbean society to stamp out any possibility of our athletes not feeling safe, to practice their wear. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I will say for this morning, and of course we'll take questions afterwards.
Thank you so very much, CEO. Well, we call him the cricket scientist here at Cricket West Indies. Some say like the head coach, Doc. but certainly the Director of Cricket, we now turn to Mr. Miles Bascom, the Director of Cricket of Cricket West Indies. Miles.
Thank Okay. Not the audio scientist, apparently, only cricket scientist.
Well, I'll give you my mic, if that's fine. Well, in the meantime, what I would share is that the information for tickets, you can visit our website, www.windiescricket.com, to receive that information on how to purchase your tickets tomorrow. DOC, are you ready now? The
Testing.
microphone scientist now. All right, we're good. Let's
Yes.
go.
Thank you again. Okay, so is it a me problem? So first of all, I want to say good morning to everyone here. It's really good to see so many members of staff present. I had president and CEO if we sent out a memo, but as usual, the vice president and directors, Lewis and Rodney, who are ever present whenever there's anything cricket happening in Antigua. I want to start by, again, congratulating Craig Brathwaite, on his tenure as captain of the West Indies Test team. His tenure has been marked with resilience. I mean, from very early on, we remember that series in Bangladesh during COVID, when we saw, fight when conditions were not very friendly to West Indian batsmen, as a lot of people would like to say. And as a leader, he has really inspired and led from the front. So I don't think it's too much congratulations from our head coach when it's his turn. We don't have an announcement of a new test captain for you this morning. We, as most people could appreciate, would definitely want to take some time. Craig has left very large boots to fill, and that is a decision that will take consideration. Head coach.
Dios, yeah.
Testing? Okay, good. Yes, so our head coach starts officially as all format head coach tomorrow. He begged me to change the date on the contract to the 2nd of April, but our good legal person didn't allow me to. The other announcement that I have this morning is in the white ball senior men setup. It's another key leadership adjustment. Shea Hope will take over as T20 captain. So that will make him the official captain of both white ball formats. Shea has really proven himself as a leader. His last 9 ODIs, he has won 6 since the series started in the air in Australia. And we think that Shea is going to help us to move our white ball teams in the direction that we want to go. It's about alignment, and we think that Shea is the right person to take us into the future, including our World T20. Next World T20 is scheduled for India and Sri Lanka. We have about 30 to 20 matches to that point, and we think that that should be enough for us to get and sure that we have the best chance of really going for a World Cup title. I want to take this opportunity to thank Rovman Powell, the outgoing captain, and he has done tremendous work to get us to this point. We have now moved from 9th to 5th and got as high as 3rd in the rankings, and that was in no small part due to his efforts. So definitely want to thank Rovman for his efforts in that regard. I'm going to end here. I'm sure there will be a lot of questions after, and I'll allow the head coach to make some contributions.
So we now move to the Honorable Darren Sammy, and I must state that after the recent Independence Awards, Darren received the second highest honor in his home country, so we now refer to him as the Honorable Darren Sammy.
Pleasant good morning to everyone. It's exciting times, and firstly I would like to say congratulations to President Kishore and Vice President Basarat on the re-election. If you look at what's exciting for me in West Indies cricket, it's just the leadership side of things. I mean, over the last 2 years, myself, President Kishore, have spoken about the way forward for West Indies cricket. Miles came on board, and just the vision on how we could improve this game that everybody loves and wants to see the region do well. And this juncture today, it's exciting for me. It's exciting because the direction we head in creates space for effective leadership, creates space for movement, forward direction. And I would also I want to state that Miles announced that Shea Hope would be the captain of the T20 team. Now, to some of us on the outside, it might be surprising, but to us on the inside of the cricket arena, the team, it's not something that we just came up and just threw at the public. We at the management and coaching level of the West Indies, we're quite meticulous in how we go about doing things. It is important to note that we've had conversations with Rovman just before the World Cup, just after the World Cup, and leading to this point on some of the things that we want to achieve as a team. And I would like to commend Rovman. I mean, I started my coaching journey at the West Indies Cricket as a West Indies cricket coach with the same time he started with Shea. And what we've been able to achieve as a T20 team under his leadership has been somewhat exciting and very productive. However, in a game that's in a world that's ever changing in terms of how you could improve, I've spoken about us becoming a championship team and not more or less a series winning team. And I strongly believe in that. We have what it takes to win World Cups. We've done it before. However, you heard CEO Darren spoke about the processes and how you get to that point. And for us, for me and my staff, from a leadership standpoint, right, it is important to understand what and who will take us there. And at this moment, after conversations that we've had with what Shea Hope has done and the culture that we've been able to build in the ODI format, and how I see him improve and mature as a leader. It is and all the you has challenged me to be for our team to be more data driven and use the data to our advantage. It is also important to know the processes as to how teams could be successful, and we have all these resources at our disposal. And I think for this next juncture in our white ball team, I think it's a decision that will bring stability, continuity in the way we want to do things and the way we want to play. And She-Hope is the person we've earmarked to do that. So whilst congratulating Rovman, I know it will be a tough. It was a tough conversation, but we as leaders, we don't shy away from that. And she has embraced the opportunity to be that for us, and we welcome him. My job as all format coach starts tomorrow. In my mind, it is on Wednesday. However, I would like to echo the sentiments of all the speakers in congratulating Craig Brathwaite. I remember, I think it was against Pakistan in St. Kitts, probably the second test of that Pakistan series in 2011. Craig debuted under my leadership in St. Kitts, and what he has been able to do throughout his career. The tough wins in Australia, Pakistan, in Bangladesh when he started, and just his longevity, what the respect he commands in the team, and just me speaking to him about how he wants to progress, and just his sheer maturity as to what he wants, not only for himself, but for the team in general. And I want to thank him for his leadership. I have no doubt that he will continue to be a leader in that dressing room moving forward. For us as a team, looking at the next cycle, it's going to be tough. And I know I have questions to answer later, but it is important to understand at all three formats where we are as a team, the things that we want to do to improve and we are going to do to improve, and how we're going to do it. And it will take a lot of planning, a lot of tactical awareness, a lot of roles being executed, but it's something that is very possible. And with this group and the leadership group that we have, I have no doubt that we are able to do that. So again, thank you for entrusting the cricketing leadership from a coaching standpoint, me over the next 3 years. But it's one I know that's challenging, but one I'm prepared for, and I know my men and my staff, we are also prepared for that, and we're looking to put that onto the field of play that will help in all other aspects, because a performing West Indies team means great marketing, great sponsorship, everything. Thank you.
Thank you so very much for that, Darren. Well, we're going to ask you to turn your attention, for those in the room, to the screen, but certainly those online. We have a message from Craig Brathwaite.
West Indies captain and leader.
Leading the West Indies Test team has been one of my greatest honors of my career. It's a responsibility that I embrace with absolute pride and determination. The journey has had its challenges, but as a team, we have enjoyed some memorable moments. Our historic win in Australia in Brisbane in 2024, our first in 27 years, and defeating Pakistan after 34 years earlier this year. And for me, what was truly amazing, my first Test series win against Bangladesh in their home conditions was absolutely amazing. These victories reflect our team's resilience, and I'm proud of what we've achieved. We've achieved it together. But leadership is also about knowing when to pass the baton. And I believe this is the right time for someone else to wear the cap. I've spoken with our president, Dr. Kishore Shallow, and incoming head coach, Darren Sammy. And I look forward to working with them as a committed member of the squad. To our passionate West Indian fans, thank you for your unwavering support. We must always do what's best for the team, and I'm confident this decision will help us build on our success. Let's continue to rally around the West Indies and push our cricket to even greater heights.
Landmark of the highest order for Craig Brathwaite. Test century number 9.
Pause raising here. Thank you so very much, Craig. Well, we also pay tribute to Rovman Powell this morning, and certainly while we congratulate Shea on assuming the captaincy, we do thank Rovman for his contribution to West Indies cricket. Please turn.
That is brilliant. Top class from Rovman Powell.
A world-class player, a phenomenal leader.
The impact batsman of 2024 is none other than the skipper, Rovman Powell.
A man who gave his heart.
What a shot, majestic. That is regal from Rovman Powell.
A game changer and a history maker.
I think as a team we have done some very good stuff so far. It's for us to continue.
2 years of tremendous highs.
Fortuitous. 40 intended, but he won't mind. 50 for the partnership. And the 50 for the skipper.
But forever, a class act on and off the field.
Take the floor delivery. He has really nailed that, Rovman Powell. It's the first T20 international 50 in 14 innings.
The entire West Indies family says thank you for your efforts as our captain.
Powell has led this team magnificently.
Thank you for everything, Rovman.
Thank you so very much, Rovman, and we really appreciate you. Well, it's a time where I know that most of you look forward to, especially those online, those international journalists joining us. Well, we are going to allow each journalist to have a maximum of 2 questions in the interest of time, so use your questions very wisely. You can direct your questions to anyone on the panel, and certainly we would like to encourage that you be as concise as possible, avoiding any preambles in the interest of time. But we will allow a maximum of 2 questions for the journalists in the room. Inviting the first person in the room to pose a question. Well, it seems like we don't have any questions. Let's go to the questions within the room, and we are going to share the mic so that you can go right ahead. You can start by your name and the media house, or if you're freelancing.
Good morning. My name is Petra Williams. I represent The Spectator. My question is going back to the economic impact information that was shared. And I am interested in finding out, in terms of, as the regional governments continue to invest in the infrastructure so that we can continue to have cricket, what will be the relationship? I know, for example, in Antigua, we have the build-out of the the Coolidge cricket grounds. In terms of other areas, what will be the relationship in terms of investment in infrastructure from a West Indies Cricket Board perspective, if any?
Yeah, infrastructure. Thanks for your question, Petro. Yeah, as I was saying, infrastructure is critical. We have seen tremendous investment across the region for the World Cup. Though we enjoy those developments, I would say there's still a long way to go. All right, we spoke about this at our board meeting and our AGM on Saturday. where we still need infrastructure such as indoor facilities, better playing surface, not only at the international level, but regional and domestic level. So it's a conversation that needs to continue between CWI and CARICOM. We have had their commitment verbally in meetings that we have attended with the CARICOM subcommittee on cricket. Also, what we have discussed with them is the need for greater investment in grassroots and club cricket across the Caribbean. Schools cricket has been pretty much absent in most cases, most countries. I know the Vice President, Azim Bazarat, he has indeed tried to engage his government locally, and he has been able to manage some level of support there. President Ali in Guyana, too, is making some investment, but what we want is for all the CARICOM leaders across the region to continue that investment, not only in infrastructure, but in programs that would see grassroots cricket on the pathway to international cricket all address and improve.
Thank you so very much. We have Mr. Philip Spooner in the room, would like to direct a question. Mr. Spooner, go right ahead. Philip Spooner within the room, journalist asking a question. Go right ahead. Yes, go right ahead. We can hear you now.
Okay, thanks very much for having me, and I appreciate the opportunity. My first, I have two questions, obviously. One for Darren. Darren, I know it's, as you said, it's a difficult conversation with Rodman, explaining to him the direction that we're going with the team. So can you tell us a little bit about that conversation? And then, share this with captain CPL. CPL is our regional tournament. So how are you going to convince them to make him captain in order for him then to carry the mandate to captain West Indies? And then for the CEO, you speak a lot about the data and how the organization is driven with data and requirements. What was the data behind encouraging Jamaica to pursue the big World Test match in light of the fact that, we've never won one, and like you said, you're going to try to beat Australia at our strength. Big World Test matches are not one of our strengths. So, what was the data behind the Jamaica Test match, and how do you see that playing out? Thanks very much.
We'll first start with Darren, the first question, and I'm not sure if CEO would take that question or he would pass on the question, but it's optional to you.
Thank you, Spooner, for your question. To answer the first one, yes, Rovman was quite professional about the conversation. Like I said, it's discussions we've had with Rovman before about captaincy and the direction and how we want to go about doing things. So as difficult as it might have been, I think my relationship with Rovman and the rest of the guys in the team, how I've done things, we don't shy away from difficult conversations. We quite professional, and we communicate well. And it was my job to make sure that I inform him. I didn't want him waking up probably in India to the news of him not being the T20 captain anymore. He said he understood where we were going, where we were coming from, and the decisions that were made. But that was about it. So again, I mean, what Rovman has done for us, it's quite commendable. However, when you think of alignment and some of the things that we've spoken about in terms of leadership, I think this is a move in the right direction, with a World Cup probably about 14 months or 42 games away, to give the incoming leader enough time to, hone his skills in leadership. And also, when it comes to CPL, that's a private franchise, so I don't think I could tell Guyana. However, I would love to see Shea get more experience. But what I've seen from him, from the leader of the ODI team, I'm not worried about his leadership or captaincy experience, based on how he's grown and how mature, and his contributions and performances on and off the field. It makes him a great leader.
And we will go. Well, let's take the question to the Chief Executive Officer, and we will allow follow-up questions once time does permit. CEO.
Check. So there are two levels to data that we would have used in trying to schedule a day-night test match at Sabina Park. First and foremost, I do recall, if memory serves me right, the last time we beat Australia, it was a day-night test match. So it's a very maybe superficial example to use, but maybe it's just a good omen. Secondly, and it goes without even much research, the fact is you have a much larger addressable audience for night events. It's the data that underpins why all stadia around the world have lights. Any sustainable stadium has lights, and there's a reason for that. You just have a much larger addressable audience. So from a two-pronged perspective, the data absolutely supports us hosting a day-night test match at Sabina Park.
Thank you very much, CEO, for that. We're going to move to Akeem Green. Akeem Green. Can you just state your media house? Your audio is, yes, we're hearing you now.
Good morning. Two questions. One for President Dr. Shallow. President Shallow, I know you would have won unanimous at the elections, but I know in the lead up to those elections, based on media reports, it didn't seem that everyone was on the same page as regards certain initiatives Cricket wanted to execute. I just want to know, going forward for the next 3 years, how you're looking to amend, if there's any apparent friction between some territorial boards within Cricket West Indies, so all of you guys be on the same page to execute the different plans that yourself and Mr. Baswad have.
Thanks, Akim. It's no secret that in organizations like these, you're not always going to agree on every matter. And Cricket West Indies, as much as we like to think we're perfect sometimes, we are not. And we are quite similar to other organizations. And listen, differences are healthy. And we continue to encourage those, and we embrace all our territorial boards, all our shareholders. And I think more than I could certainly, I think since I've joined the board in 2017, this is the most united I've seen the boardroom. So I'm quite pleased with that, and I think we are certainly all focused on the direction we want to take Cricket West Indies at this point.
Next question.
For Darren, the selections is going to be obviously data-driven. I was just trying to get from you if being data-driven means you're potentially likely to make some left field selections, just on the fact that potentially looking at the team's weaknesses, you would say select someone along that line, and also not necessarily playing for the probably top the charts just to hit area. If that is kind of the ideology, so probably looking to bring also into the test team.
If I understand what you're saying, well, I don't think it would be left field if it's data driven. First of all, I think cricket still remains, there's an element of watching the game as it evolves. When we talk about being data driven, it's all based in the preparation. You prepare, you know your position, you know the conditions, you know what the data collected states supposed to happen. However, when you do that, when the game starts, you have your plan A, plan B. It is important that you give that plan a chance. And with data, you also need the roles being executed. It's all good to have all the data, but you need the personnel to fulfill that role. That will enable the data we've collected to be successful. That's where performance comes in. So whatever we do in all formats, it will be based because we have enough evidence and concrete evidence that this is what is gonna work. And we prepare accordingly versus the opposition, like I said, on conditions. And if that means we got to play a special person because this opposition requires us to do that and the data backs it up, that is what's gonna happen. However, you don't take out the instinctive element of the game as well. We will find a really fine balance in our processes and how we do things.
Thank you so very much. We're going to move to the next journalist within the room. I believe you're now in order. Go right ahead.
Good afternoon, head coach. Good afternoon, Mr. President. Good afternoon, CEO. Good afternoon, Director of Cricket. Congratulations, Mr. President, on being re-elected President of Cricket West Indies, and also to your Vice President. I want to...
Can you first state your name and media house, just for clarity?
Yeah, I'm sorry. My name is Junior Codlin, and I'm representing the West Indies Cricket Development Academy Media Arm. I want to direct my question at the new CEO of Cricket West Indies. Specifically about some comments that you have made in regards to bringing youngsters from other sports, mainly track and field, into West Indies cricket. I want to know how do you plan to do the specifics, and if one of those is by giving scholarships, because we know in the Caribbean moral persuasion doesn't work anymore. Thank you. First question.
Thank you for that question, and it's an excellent challenge that we all have. So I've spoken about the commercial gap disparity between ourselves and the rest of the cricket playing world. That commercial gap, just to put in perspective, when I first joined West Indies cricket many years ago, was only about 200 million US a year in terms of revenue. The gap with India is probably closer to 3 billion. And that's just commercial gap. We're talking about national resources. There's another massive gap within our school systems, etc., of the expenditure that other countries have on player development, whether it's any sport. So, but what they do not have is our athletic quotient. We just have an inordinate amount of athletes across the Caribbean. And I only use track and field as one example of how when our girls are given the opportunity to run at an international level, they exceed anything that what the rest of the world has. And therefore, we have to create a pipeline that gives an option for all of our athletes or all the people that have this inordinate athletic talent in all of our countries as to have cricket as an option for them to display their athletic talent. And that's going to take a number of initiatives. First of all, just to make sure that cricket takes its place as a total entertainment sport that's attractive to youngsters. And so you're going to see the fan experience and various initiatives that we're going to employ during the upcoming test series against Australia, because bringing kids into a sport is not necessarily showing them a career path of a sport. It's the excitement, it's the fun, it's the joy of a sport. So we're going to be utilizing our test series and every means at our disposal. Then, of course, there's the playing part, getting them to enjoy playing the sport. And, of course, we have initiatives already in the past, like kiddie cricket and now the Five for Fun. We have to expand that whole grassroots program, and we're going to be looking at different ways to do that across the territories. We're already in discussions with major sponsors, etc., on utilizing their own desire to have a corporate social responsibility aspect that would encourage kids to join these types of programs. And of course, we spoke about the relationships with our governments, and the president has spoken about the fact that we're going to need grassroots infrastructure development, facilities that kids can learn the game, the school programs that need to be put in place so that they can learn the game and develop. So that's another almost age group that we have to approach. From elementary school into high school and so on, that entire production pipeline that I spoke about, that process has to be developed. So those girls, and I use the example of the women, the young ladies in Jamaica. Champs has just finished. Now, the under 14 girls at Champs are running times that would be a world record or national record in 70% of the world's countries. But all of those girls are not going to go on to represent Jamaica at the Olympics or even have a professional track career. We need to make sure that we have a program in all of our territories, including Jamaica, that offers those athletes an attractive option. And of course, there's a final piece, which is the career, cricket as a career. We have to make sure that our parents or governments understand the reality of cricket now as this massive global international sport that is a viable career for so many people, not just at international level with the West Indies, but at various levels. We've seen professional leagues spring up all across the world that athletes are making really good money. I don't want to disclose the kind of money that they're making in case the taxman in the various countries have so far turned a blind eye. But I'm telling you that it is very attractive as a career as compared to all of the doctors and lawyers that we also are producing, which we also need. But certainly the athletic quotient of our Caribbean countries dictates that we should be taking cricket as a serious career for all of our youngsters, both as governments and as parents.
Your second question?
Yeah, continuing with you, Mr. CEO. We as fans of Cricket West Indies are very shocked when we see our team playing on the field without a major sponsor on the shirt. Can you give a commitment that this is one of the areas that you're going to work on to see our team playing with, sponsorship on their shirt? Because one of the things that when we see teams like Ireland, teams like Bangladesh that doesn't have the history that we have are being looked after commercially, but our team are not being looked after in such a way. And with that, I thank you. No further questions.
CEO.
Yes, that is obviously an area where I spoke about the commercial program that we have to implement or revise and re-energize. We have in place a chief commercial officer and a very able team that is working assiduously across the Caribbean, meeting with various potential sponsors, etc. But this is not an overnight program. Data essentially also underpins it. And therefore, we have to be able to provide those sponsors the kind of data that they need to make the kind of decisions that support the fact that West Indies cricket remains an extremely attractive platform for the selling of their wares. And, you know, we intend to implement that data. I'll tell you that it's some of the data that's already coming out of our current West Indies Championship, for instance. In some countries that perhaps might be thinking that cricket has been on the decline, we're seeing data that pretty much tells you that there's more than just a pulse of cricket and love for cricket that's underlying there that we can hope to exploit with sponsors. So we will be making that that commitment to you. We will have a sponsor. We're in negotiation with several parties across the region, and hopefully we'll have great news on that shortly.
Thank you so very much, CEO. We now move to the next journalist. I believe that is Dev. Please state your full name and the media house.
Hi, good evening everybody. My name is Dev Tyagi and I'm joining from New Delhi, India. I represent Spot at Point, a digital publication. And my question is to Coach Darren Salling. Sir, it's a great pleasure and a great occasion for me to exchange some words with you and to ask you a couple of questions. I've always admired you and I've always admired every moment where you took the field as captain. I jump to my first question. Is there a bit of a clarity about when could we see Kyle Mayers back in the T20 colors? So far, 37 T20 international appearances, 750 plus runs. Such a critical member, such a brilliant batter to watch. So that's my first question. And the second question is, what steps can we take to ensure that the West Indies white ball ODI team continues to move northward in the progress and development after missing out on the 2023 World Cup?
Thank you for your question. When it comes to selection, I think we do have a process we follow, personnel, roles, performance. And I think what you've seen over the 37 games without Kyle Mayers, I think it's a continuation of guys who've performed, who've been selected. Kyle, if he continues or if he performs through different competitions, CPL, wherever he plays, if his performances challenges one of the spots that we have available, then he'll always be be considered for selection. And the second question, I think the plans we put together from I think 2023, just when we went to World Cup qualifiers in Zimbabwe, I think at the end of 2024. We right on track in terms of the things that we wanted to achieve. When we took over, I think we were about 18 or 19 points clear of number 9. At the end of 2024, with the different series and oppositions that we have, the map we had planned, I think it got us within 7 or 6 points of number 7. So we right on target with Ireland coming and England ODIs. That will be very crucial for us in terms of building and gathering points that will take us higher up the rankings. We've shown over the last 2 years we've made home, which is in the West Indies, our fortress, and we continue to win matches and series there on the leadership of Shea Hope and the culture and the way we want to go out and play. So again, it's about continuing that, having the right personnel filling the roles required that will allow us to be successful, and I'm pretty sure all the processes that the measures we've put in place, so processes could be followed, and the direction we've given not only to our senior players, but from a regional standpoint, that when guys turn up for West Indies, they have a fair understanding of what is required that will help us to be successful.
Thank you so very much for joining us.
Thank you. It made my day to interact with you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We now move to the Cricket Forum. Please state your full name and the media house you represent.
Good morning, Carlton Brown here from the Cricket Forum. So Chris Darren, who talked about the serious allegations of sexual harassment. Am I to infer from what you said that these allegations are true? Secondly, what happened, why it took so long between the alleged allegations and the release from Cricket West Indies addressing the issue? And thirdly, I know you have adopted UNICEF child protection policy, but did you get expert advice from agencies like CPFSA in Jamaica to really flesh out the policy so that you have a better understanding of it? And the next question to the President is about term limit. Are you serving your first term or is it your second term based on the change in the governance structure?
So we do not have any official report of any specific action or allegation. So we were simply responding to the allegation as it occurred in the media, which was just recently. The event that took place 5 years ago, there was not a specific report. And obviously, even the current media is still very speculative in that no one is named and so on. So what was gratifying was the fact that when the issue arose, there had been tremendous amount of work done by the organization over a number of years implementing policies and plans. And those policies and plans, you know, there's a very experienced HR committee. You're speaking about only one particular agency in Jamaica, but there are many other agencies across the region, including the various multinational agencies, multilateral agencies that would have assisted Cricket West Indies in devising those policies. So we're very clear in terms of the fact that this is something that we, as like any other corporation in the Caribbean, if those things are occurring, we want to stamp it out like they do. And we want to also prevent the opportunity for them taking place. So there's a very comprehensive training program, for instance, at Cricket World Cup in terms of our staffing, in terms of advising them exactly how to act in terms of good corporate behavior. And the teams, and etc., are following the same guidelines.
President?
Yeah, just permit me to just add to the response from Chris. And I just want to establish that we have a zero tolerance policy against any form of abuse in the organization. And this is not just for players, but for staff and everyone involved. I remember years ago, 2020 or 2019, when this matter was topical internally. President at the time, Ricky Skerritt, spoke with our HR team and ensured that this is planted in all contracts of everyone we engage at Cricket West Indies. So again, I repeat, there's a zero tolerance for any form of abuse in our organization. The resolutions, certainly the one with term limit, it became in effect from the AGM. And so to answer your question explicitly, my tenure, this will be my first tenure, first term of those term, but I guarantee you, I will not meet that term limit. So it will not be an issue for me. But hopefully, you know, probably in the future, it will be there to ensure that there's no abuse or no extended time in privileges, I would say, of leaders going forward. But to answer your question, this is my first term of the term limit era.
Thank you so very much, Carlton, for that question. I now believe it's Colin Benjamin. Can you go ahead and state your media house as well for?
Yeah, thank you, Jamal. Colin Benjamin, television
Sports. Wow, gentlemen, I don't know who to start with, but I promise to choose my questions wisely. Skipper, Darren, talk to me about the choice of the change in leadership. Obviously, last two West Indies T20 series against England and Bangladesh. How much did those little negative results following the good progress the team had made beforehand played a role in making this change?
I wouldn't say it's the last two results. Again, what the team achieved under Rovman's leadership from I think 2003 in South Africa to last year in St. Vincent against Bangladesh. We commend those efforts. However, it is one alignment with the direction we head in. Two conversations we had with Rovman after the World Cup on some of the things that we want to do and where we want the team to head. I'm pretty sure the cricket committee, myself, Miles, all aware of these discussions. And again, it's not because it's difficult you shouldn't do it. I think I've been very clear in my leadership as a coach, and the communication have been clear. So it's not a bringing down of Rovman and how he went about leading the team. We had tremendous success. However, the next step we head in, I think now is the right time, and we believe from what I've seen from Shea and the qualities that he brings, both on and off the field, and the challenge to follow the data side of the game. He is the person that we believe that will take us to that next level in the quest of being that championship winning team that we look to be.
And your second question, Colin?
Yeah, either Kishore or CEO Darren. Over the weekend, we had the World Cricketers Association just talking about a potential future for world cricket where the revenues could be different. So I guess for either gentlemen, given the realities of Cricket West Indies finances, in a potential world where Cricket West Indies could increase their revenues by 15%, in a world where the BCCI might be 40%, whether this could happen or not, how if you could describe to the Caribbean public how Cricket West Indies could finance all aspects of what we want to do with an international revenue model that is 10 to 50% more.
I'm sure the president will have a lot to say on this as well. But no, look, the division of world cricket revenues has always been a vexing issue for the Caribbean ever since television came into the sport, which was back in the 90s. And we saw it, what was happening then. We could predict what would happen with our small economies, and it is, the chickens have come home to roost. So the debate now hopefully has expanded to other smaller cricket playing countries who the disparity is also starting to impact them. And so we're hoping that we'll be able to continue that dialogue and that debate to try and encourage a restructuring of world cricket's finances, because at the end of the day, as India's wealth as a cricket nation grows and other countries continue to decline, India can't constantly play against Australia and England every year that product is just not sustainable. The world needs a healthy West Indies cricket product, and hopefully that is as much evident to the rest of the world as it has always been to us. We've always felt, for instance, that world cricket almost owes us a debt of gratitude. You know, the limited overs form of the game was created to try and encourage other cricketers to play the way that naturally West Indies play the game of the sport. How they celebrated the game in music and song and partying and enjoying the game off the field was also born right here in Antigua, and the Caribbean expanded on it. And so that evolved into this wonderful product we call T20. So our contribution to the world game is just indisputable. And we certainly hope that reports like that came out of the World Cricket Association and so on, and other bodies of work that certainly I have been able to see, and trends of thought will encourage the sort of restructuring of world cricket's finances. It's needed even just for the test format, which is under pressure globally in many countries. And so people are looking at ways how to make the test form of the game much more sustainable, even as the dramatic growth in commercial revenues for T20 and ODIs have taken place.
Yeah, just to add quickly, I mean, when you look at cricket globally, one of the challenges that not only Cricket West Indies, but even ICC that we face is how rapid the game is growing, both for male and female. And any other sport would accept that as something positive. As an organization, Cricket West Indies, we now have to ensure we position ourselves to optimize those opportunities, the potential that exists there. We have started. So, for example, where we visited Peru recently, where we continue to have discussions with the other neighboring countries, particularly in the Americas. Last week we had a meeting with the Canada Cricket Association. And we are going to continue to see how we could optimize these opportunities. At the ICC level, listen, there's absolutely no member of ICC who doesn't recognize the importance of West Indies cricket. When we missed out on the ODIs World Cup last year, that was indeed a serious blow to ICC and the tournament. Recently, probably, I'm sure 10% of you didn't follow the ICC Champions Trophy, right? Because there wasn't a West Indies team present in that region. This is the case globally. So they understand the relevance of Cricket West Indies. Again, we have to control the controllables on our side, improve our play, which is why we have Darren and his team working tremendously hard along with Miles, and although some of them are here to the Dwayne Gill working at the academy level. We need to strengthen our cricket and continue to build on the legacy that we have and remain relevant in global cricket. And that is what we can control at this time while we position ourselves commercially.
Thank you so very much, President. We do have limited time, but what I will allow is we will go right up to Mr. Garth Watley, who I believe actually Garvin Richards and Joe Bailey. But what we will ask is to allow an effort to allow all of the journalists at least pose their questions. We'll ask you to reduce your questions now to one question. So we move next to Ian Wason. Ian Wason. Well, we will now move to Dennis. Dennis Heath. Please state your media house.
Good morning, I'm Dennis Heath from Cricket Show USA. I have questions for head coach Sammy. What was the rationale, what was the thinking behind the restrictions in selecting the breakout league players, specifically restricting the players who have played 40 or less A listed and 10 international T20? experience, what is the rationale for restricting them from participating in the breakout?
We'll turn that question to the Director of Cricket, Mr. Miles Bascom.
Thank you very much, Jamal, and thanks for the question. The Breakout T20 League is positioned as a development tournament. It's intended to really spotlight those players who do not have the CPL or the international game as a platform. So the intention there was to ensure that we had, those emerging, less experienced players, having that ability to come into a tournament and get in, the game time that they would need to really impress selectors and to hone their skills as well. So leaving out those persons, we know that they would have their opportunities in CPL and in international cricket and other leagues around the world, which we also will gather information from. But we really wanted to create that platform for emerging players and the next wave of West Indies players.
Thank you, DOC. And we now move to the next journalist within the room. I believe that is, not seeing who the next person is. Next journalist in the room, based on the order, go ahead. Garth?
Good morning.
Go ahead.
Good morning to everyone. Garth Watley, Trinidad Express newspaper. This question is for President Shallow. President, you mentioned you have spoken about the number of different changes that Cricket West Indies has made when it comes to the Webby report to address that. But does Cricket West Indies intend to address or vote on the recommendation to reduce the number of directors, as that report suggested?
We have established a strategic governance committee, and they are tasked with continued revision of our governance structure. We have always been committed to improving our governance, and this is not going to be taken or done in isolation of all the other developments we have occurring in the organization. So governance is just one aspect, and again, there's that continued commitment to keep evolving and strengthening our governance structure.
Do you think that this is going to happen, that this is going to be addressed? Do you think it should be the reduction of directors?
We have agreed to continue, and in fact, I'm sure you would have read somewhere in the media, if it wasn't directly said to you, that we are going to implement these changes, these recommendations incrementally. And we are quite pleased with where we are. I believe over 70, if not 80% of the recommendations have been implemented. And we'll continue to review them, and when we believe is most appropriate, which is when the shareholders believe it is time to improve or make different adjustments. We are fully committed to that.
We now move to, thank you so very much for the question. We now move to Garvin Richards, I believe.
Yes, good morning, everyone. I'm Garvin Richards from DBS Radio in Dominica. My question is for the head coach, Darren Sammy. I know that it's already been said that no replacement has been officially named for Craig Brathwaite, but I just want to know how difficult do you think it would be to find a replacement for Craig, given that you have a relatively young team, with some of the possible candidates may not at this point in time in their careers command a spot on the West Indies test team. So we have a situation where the vice captain was recently dropped. The current regional franchise captains are relatively new to test cricket. So do you think you have a serious challenge filling the void now that Craig Brathwaite has resigned?
An excellent question. I think what Craig has done over the last 5 years, captaining or leading any West Indies team is always difficult. The duty or the responsibility of breeding leaders is also difficult. However, throughout the region, we have, seven first-class teams now playing, including the academy. Eight of them. We've been grooming leaders in that regard as well. What we do have is an opportunity to start fresh. That's what, with the blow of missing Craig as a captain, I always look at the bright side, what it creates and what opportunities it creates. And I could go back probably to my time when I have only played probably 9 test matches and I was captain in West Indies. So it creates an amazing and exciting opportunity for us to start fresh with new direction into the test team. And I look forward to that opportunity. We will find someone to take on the mantle after Craig. As difficult as it may sound, we will have a captain, and the way we will groom and mold him, I have every reason to believe that he will be more than capable of doing the job.
Thank you for your question. I believe we have, Garvin Richards. Go right ahead. All right, Garvin Richards, go right ahead. Okay.
I'm sorry, that was all from me. I just asked.
Okay, so let's now move to Joel Bailey.
Hi, good afternoon. Are you hearing me?
We are hearing you. Go right ahead.
Okay, no problem. We have one question. We have one about the West Indies A team. Any updates as to when that series will be taking place, and will St. share the money matches with some of the islands who are not getting any test series against Australia, like Grenada, Dominica, not Grenada, Dominica, even Guyana. That's one. And my also question is for the director of cricket. I know you have spoken recently about data-driven stuff and having Sandy being the coach and selector, probably in a football format. So will you try a football format and maybe look at players from the English diaspora who could qualify to the West Indies? And my colleague Marshall is in particular dealt with that some time ago. So is that something you're looking at? Thanks so much for your time.
DOC?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your question. In terms of the A-team series, that will be held in St. Lucia strictly from about middle of May to around the 10th of June. So there would be 2 4-day list A, pretty much test matches, and 3 one-day matches. In terms of being data driven and looking for players outside of our, well, in the diaspora, if you want to call it that, we're open to all options. I think you probably heard our CEO speaking about creating as many avenues as possible to get the best possible players to represent West Indies. So we haven't closed any doors in that regard. But what we are trying to do is really focus on solidifying our system, using this data-driven approach for all of our team strategies and selection. So all options available, we'll definitely look to choose the best players for West Indies cricket.
With that, we move on to our final journalist. I believe that's Ronil Walcott. Final question for today.
Hi, good day, everyone. Into the panel.
Go right ahead with your name and media house.
Yes, sir. Ronil Walcott, Trinidad Newsday. Just to piggyback on the earlier questions from one of my colleagues, to Coach Darren Sammy, I know you said that we have been grooming captains and so on within the regional setup, but at this time, and it's still early days at Craig, resignation is still fresh, but is there any short list of players that we are looking at in terms of taking over the test captaincy from Craig?
Of course, for sure. I promise you when the announcement is made, yeah, it will be very clear. We have 15 guys who normally on tour, and yes, we will definitely have a proper West Indies captain to fill in the big boots that Craig Brathwaite has left us.
That's a rather short list. Thank you so very much to both the journalists in the room as well as those who are joining us online from all around the world. Certainly, we saw journalists here from Europe as well as India today. It certainly has been a pleasure. We will be taking more questions over the next couple of weeks. You will learn about more media interactions which will happen, more targeted media interactions. I'm also going to allow you to know that both the president and the chief executive officer as well as the director of cricket will be traveling to Grenada in the coming days, and we will have an opportunity for media interactions there. But as well as the chief executive officer, Mr. Chris Deering, will also be traveling to Jamaica in the coming days as well, and there will be opportunities for you to interact with him there on site. You can certainly send an email. We are always responsive to your questions and your requests, and we will definitely try our very best to facilitate that. Well, as usual, I would provide the president to give some closing remarks before we conclude.
Thanks, Jamal, and thanks all for the questions asked. Let me again thank Ravman Powell for his sterling leadership over the last couple of years. Also, I want to thank Craig again for leading us in Test cricket, and look forward to both gentlemen continuing to serve West Indies cricket as players. I also want to congratulate our new ODI captain, T20 captain, who is taking on both formats, Shea Hope. I wish him all the very best. And I think I'll just continue on that vein. It's something we have said internally, and in some cases I've said it publicly as well, whereas the way forward, the only way West Indies cricket is going to improve is when we hold each other accountable and desire and demand a level of excellence. And I think that is only something you would see every time we mention our core values. And when you look at our annual report, our strategic plan, you're going to see that. In the case of our T20 team, by all measurements, we have improved under Captain Ravman Powell. And the stats are there clearly to show, relative to our previous 4-5 years or so. The records have improved. We have moved from number 9 in the rank and reached number 3, now currently sit at number 5, 5th. But we are saying that we are not in any way accepting anything less than excellence. We believe in our potential. We are true to our policies and our word, and we are going to keep finding ways to improve, even when we are doing well. And again, I join with Darren and Miles and CEO with commending Ravman and the hard work he has done to advance the team, the T20 team. But similarly, across the entire organization, in all the departments, off the field, on the field, we are holding each other accountable and demanding nothing short of excellence. So with that, I want to thank everyone. This is indeed a very high standard press conference as well. Excellence, we say. Right, Jamal?
Well, I would like to take the opportunity to thank the planning team, which will include LaDonna Williams, Nelsia, as well as Colette, and our Chief Operating Officer, Mr. Linford Inverari, who always keeps us in check and things flowing. So thank you so very much. And just a reminder to visit our website, www.windiescricket.com, tomorrow to get tickets for the we home full of energy. I say it might be full of energy in my Bajan accent. We'll be home this summer and we're excited for that opportunity. Or check out our social media for more information. Until next time, have a good day.